Welcome back, Cat 37 CATIA surfacing class, to another exciting video. We're going to go over multi-section surfaces, also referred to as lofting. So if you ever talk to an old school CAD designer, drafter, surfacing CAD designer, they're going to typically refer to these surfaces as lofted or lofting surfaces. Okay, so lofting or multi-section surfaces is very similar to the covered wagon. Okay, so just like our previous videos on swept will allow you to use one profile. Multi-section lets you use multiple profiles. Okay, so if you just have the basic license for generative shape design, you can use 2 profiles. If you got the advanced license, the more expensive ones, you can use more than 2 profiles. And just like swept surfaces, you have the option to use guide curves. But don't forget, the guide curve has to intersect for it to work, or else it's going to give you an error message. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our lofted surface using multiple sections. We'll start with a few, and then we'll use multiple or different shaped profiles. All right, so let's go ahead and open up loft number 1. Okay, everything has to be in its right place or else it's not going to work. Okay, so when you do lofting, if things are not in the right place as far as the guide curves, for example, then it's not going to give you the result you're looking for. Okay, let me go into the background, see what else. Okay, there's some stuff in the background. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. So let me insert a geoset. Okay, so I'm going to do a loft between these 3 profiles. So let's go back. So this one is a simple one, straightforward. So we're going to do a loft between the 3 profiles. Okay, so multi-section, right? 2 or more. You can use 1 if you like, but most likely you're going to use 2 or more when using this command. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so let's use multi-section, which is right below fill. Okay, so this is multi-section next to fill. Looks like the covered wagon, right? Looks like the canvas over the covered wagon. And just like sweep, we're going to use a profile or multiple profiles. So here we have a quadrilateral and a triangle. And we also have guide curves, just like swept surfaces, and spine, right? To give it some strength, right? Have a spine, right? Stand up for yourself, right? So same idea when it's generating the surface. Okay, so once again, multi-section surface, also referred to as lofting. That's the old school term. All right, so let's go ahead and do multi-section lofting. Okay, so for our profiles, we're going to fill in this area. If we have any guide curves, which we don't in this tutorial, the guides would go in this area. Okay, and then here's the tab for spine. It's a little different from swept surfaces. Okay, so let's go back to guides here. So down here is to fill in our guides if we have any. A spine, if we have a spine, right? Typically a straight line. And we also have the option to couple. That's when you need to connect corners to corners. We'll do that in one of the later tutorials in this video. Let's go back. Okay, so we're going to connect these 3 sections. So let's go to the section area. So these 3 profiles here, instead of profiles, are called sections. So let's go ahead and pick and they have to be chosen in order. Okay, they have to go in order. Click and click. Okay, so let's get a preview. And there's our surface. Nice, clean, swept surface. See the reflection lines? Beautiful, right? Beautiful reflection lines. Okay, so one thing to be aware of when you're doing multi-section is all the red arrows need to point in the same direction. Notice how they're all pointing clockwise. If I turn one of them, let's say I turn the middle one, it's actually now going counterclockwise, while the other 2 are going clockwise. So Doesn't matter which direction they're going as long as they're all going in the same direction. So here I flipped one of them, and let's see what we get. Preview. So it's saying, hey, error. It leads to a cusp. It's actually twisting on us, as you can see. Doesn't know what to do. It's twisting, and this is not what we're looking for, obviously. Okay, so we have to flip the red arrow. Notice the red arrow is not going in the same direction as the other two. Okay, so we can go ahead and flip it and preview, and there it is. Notice it's calculating its own spine. Since I didn't pick a spine, it's just calculating one. Okay, in this case, we can pick the z-axis. Seems to be going in the z direction. So to give it more strength, we can go ahead and say, hey, z-axis. And preview shouldn't change much, but it makes it a lot stiffer. It's like taking the covered wagon and pulling in both directions, right? In the Z direction, and it smooths it out. You don't have all this lumping going on, right? So if you stretch it in the Z direction in both directions, it'll look straighter, right? Okay, same idea when referring to a spine. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so is there another video here or another CATIA part? Looking for another CATIA part. Okay, don't see any other wireframe here. So let's see, maybe there's another file. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so let's try and duplicate this here. All right, so I'm okay with this and hit OK. Okay, so notice how it cleans up. So the surface goes continuous, goes to this one, and so on. And it seems like a nice clean transition from one to the other. Seems to be curvature continuous. Okay, let me double click on it. See if we can trying to see if we can make these not curvature continuous. It appears to be curvature continuous by the reflection of the lights. Okay, let's go ahead and leave this alone. I was hoping we could remove some of the continuity here, but it's okay. We'll hit OK. So I'm going to hide this. Okay, this time I'll do a multi-section loft from only the first one to the second one. So let's do it again. Multi-section. Go to the first one to the second one. Make sure the arrows are pointing in the same direction, either both clockwise or both counterclockwise. And hit OK. There it is. Okay, this one looks a lot sharper compared to the previous loft that we did. Okay, so now we're going to join. Now we're going to create a loft between these two, the second and third one. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a loft between the second one and third one. Make sure the arrowheads are pointing in the same direction. Let's say you forgot one of them is going in the opposite direction. And preview. Okay, it gives you the warning. See how it's twisting? Okay, so we need to untwist it by making sure both arrowheads are pointing in the same direction. And preview, there it is. And okay. Excuse me. So notice we don't have a smooth surface like we did earlier on the first one that we hid. Let me unhide the first one. Right click properties, give it a different color. Let's make it blue. So the blue one, see how the blue one adjusted itself to give us a nice continuous curve? Let me hide the second and third multi-section surface loft. See the difference? How this is nice and smooth. It adjusted itself to give us a nice clean, at least trying to attempt to give us a nice clean curvature continuous surface, right? Okay, so let's go back to the new ones, number 2 and number 3. So this is sharp, and we can tell by the light reflection. See how the lights break? So that tells me if I was to join these surfaces to make one, this is the join command, which we'll learn later. It's going to have this crease, right? So there's a crease there. So here we have G0, point continuity. So if you want to improve on this, like, oh, you know what? That looks ugly, right? So in automotive, you're supposed to go in there and style it. You're supposed to clean this up, okay? And in automotive, surfacing exterior and interior components of the vehicle, whether it's the hood of the car, the rooftop, the windshield, the car seat, the center console, the dash, you want it to look clean. You want lights to reflect, to show a clean reflection. Okay, so we're going to go back to this loft, the last one we did. Double click. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to go back to the first section. In this case, the second curve, right? So we're going to go to our first section, which is this one. And we're going to add a support. We're going to add this as our support. So we want this to be tangent to this surface. Notice it adds it. Now we have tangency continuity, as you can see. And let's preview. And okay, see how it adjusted itself to try and match this surface? Now it's tangent. So now at least we have G1, tangency continuity. Look at the ways the lights reflect. Okay, now at least they're connected, the reflections, right? So now we're guaranteed that we have G1, tangent continuity. Notice how it changed its shape to accommodate this surface. So now let's go back, double click on this surface, and now instead of tangent, let's go back. Let's make it curvature continuous. Again, if you don't have this option or it's grayed out, it's because you have the basic license. Okay, so curvature. And 3, 2, 1, don't blink, preview. Notice how it even narrowed it further on the sides here to try and now reach that G2 curvature continuity, right? Okay, so let's hit OK. So even now, it's a lot cleaner. So as you go from one surface to the other, it's hard to tell where the break is or the seam, all right? Think of tailoring a shirt or a jacket for a suit, right? Or making a dress. You want it to appear seamless as you go from one patch of clothing to the other. Okay, so same idea. So it adjusted itself. It actually got narrower here in the middle to try and meet that G2 curvature continuity. So not only do we have G0 point continuity, we have G1 tangent continuity, and we have G2 curvature continuous. And there's also G3 where the radius as you exit one equals the rate of the radius as you enter the other one. Okay, so right now the radiuses or the radii are equal as you exit one, enter the other one. But the rate that the radius is changing is not necessarily equal. That would be G3, and we don't have that option for this one. We do have that option in other CATIA surfacing modules like Freestyle, and we also have other modules that'll let us go up to a G3 curvature continuous where you have connection, tangent, equal radius, and equal change of radius, the rate of the change from one radius to another. All right, just like acceleration, right? If you're decelerating, dropping 5 miles per hour, decelerating 95, 85, 75, and here also 75, 65, and so on. It's a smooth transition, but we don't have that G3 option in this one. All right, let's continue on. Okay, so that's what we did here. We went from two surfaces, and then we made them G2 curvature continuous. And you also have the smoothing option. Okay, so if your surfaces don't look smooth, you can turn on the smooth option, and you can deviate from how exact the surface is, right, with respect to its profiles. So you have that option to smooth things out, but you're going to have to sacrifice how exact your geometry is with respect to our input, our profiles, our sections, our guides, if we use any. Okay, and again, a spine will help you give it more strength, right? Just like the spine in your body, right? Without it, you'll just flop all over the place. Okay, we do have situations where you go from a circular, in this case circular profile, to a rectangular with round corners. And when you have this situation, there's a good chance it's going to twist on you. And you're going to have to use your closing points to avoid this twisting, so it's a straighter transition. We can also use coupling. Let's see if we have that. Well, I guess we don't have that tutorial. I was expecting to see a tutorial for this one. I should have one in my flash drive. Yeah, let me go to my flash drive real quick to simulate this. Okay, so let me go to my flash drive, my CAD37 folder. I should have some type of lofting, maybe it's this one. Okay, here it is. So here's my multi-section loft. I'll probably email you this so you can play around with it. Let me go ahead and hide this. Okay, so what happens when you go from a rectangular to a circular or triangular shape, right? You know, the software doesn't know which way to go. Okay, so let's go ahead to multi-section. And I'm going to pick this rectangular profile. I believe I did it in Sketch. I know I'm asking you not to use Sketch, but I do use Sketch when I'm doing surfacing. So in the final project, please, you're more than welcome to use Sketch. So I already have a sketch here of a rectangle. Okay, so make sure you are in sections. So here's our first profile for our section. And our second profile will be the triangle sketch here. Okay, let's get a preview, see what we get. Preview, and it's a cusp. See, it doesn't know where to start the loft. So we have what's called closing points. Okay, we have a closing point. Okay, so I can try and improve on this and say, okay, here we have a closing point for the rectangle. So I should make this the closing point for the triangle. Right now the closing point is on top. So I can right click and replace it. I'm going to replace this closing point with the one down here. And let's see what we get. Preview. It's a little bit better, but it's not quite there yet. See, it's because we're going from 4 corners or 4 vertices down to 3. So the surface doesn't know where to go. It doesn't know which corner to connect to its opposite corner. It doesn't know. So we have what's called coupling. And by the way, make sure that the red arrows are all pointing in the same direction. They both seem to be going clockwise. Okay, so how do I improve in this? We have what's called coupling. So coupling will allow us to connect to the correct vertex or vertices. So let's go to coupling. Okay, so the first one's already taken care of. These 2 vertices are already taken care of. I'm going to take this upper right corner and connect it to the top of the triangle. Okay, so I'm going to do it through coupling. I'm going to couple this upper right corner to, and it has to go, you have to go in order. So since I chose this as my first section, since the rectangle is the first section and the triangle is the second, we need to go in order from rectangle to triangle because the rectangle was the first chosen section or profile. Okay, so I already picked this corner, so now we gotta make sure it connects to this one. Oh, let me start over again. It looks like I deselected by mistake. Let me hit OK. Let me clear this out, remove. Okay, there it is, remove. Let's go back. Okay, coupling. We're gonna couple. Click inside. So again, make sure you're in coupling. Coupling. Pick this corner. Connect it to this corner. See where, there it is. See the green line? Okay, good. Now we're going to go to and create another one. So we're still in coupling. Now we're going to go from this corner to that same corner up here. There it is, right? Looks good. Okay, again, we shouldn't need to make a coupling between these two because that's a closing point. That's a closing point. If need to, we can always add a couple between these two. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. The bottom left corner of the rectangle. And we'll couple it with the bottom left corner of the triangle. And there it is. You see the coupling number 3. Okay, so we have all the couplings. And hit preview and see how it cleans it up. And okay. Ta-da! Okay, so we went from a rectangle to a triangle. If this was a circle, we would have to probably add points on the circle. If we're going from a, let's say, a rectangular shape to a round shape, we probably have to put 4 points and probably angle those points to mimic the rectangle. I don't know, maybe at 90-degree increments, or some may be at 120. So we'd have to space out the points equally or similar to the rectangular shape, and then do a coupling. Okay, so let's change the color of this surface. Okay, and let's make it a green color. Okay, as you can see through the light reflection, it doesn't transition very well. Notice how the reflection lines don't go from one to the other, it just disappears. So we can add continuity, right? So right now it's just a surface going from a rectangle to a triangle. So now let's add supports for curvature continuity. So I'm going to double click on this new surface, go back to boundary 1, which is our rectangle, and we're going to add a support. So we're going to add this as our support. And let's give it curvature continuity, G2. Okay, now let's go to the second one. So second boundary, which is the triangle. And we're going to make it curvature continuous to this surface, this blue surface, this triangular prism. And just like we did it with the rectangular prism, we're going to add curvature, right? G2, curvature. And let's hit preview. It's giving us a warning, double check it, and notice how it shapes itself to accommodate G2 curvature continuity. See that? It almost looks aerodynamic. Now let's look at the reflection lines. And notice how the reflection lines transition from what? Actually, not getting a good, there it is. So now the reflection lines are transitioning from one surface to another. If I go straight, there it is. You can see the lights reflecting from one patch to another. So you can see, same thing on top. Okay, I'm trying to orient this in a way where you can see the reflection line. Even though they zag, it's still connected and nice and round, letting us know that it's curvature continuous. Let me look at it at a different angle. Maybe this angle here. Oh, not any better, but you can see the reflection lines do connect as you go from one surface to another. Okay, so once again, multi-section lofting. Okay, let's go back to the tutorial. Excuse me, to the loft tutorial. Here we go. Okay, so that's how we were able to take care of the twisting by adjusting the closing points and adding coupling, right? If this was circular, maybe the closing points would be good enough, but you may have to add points on the circle to make a nice transition from the non-circular profile to the circular profile. Okay. Okay, let's go to Loft 3, cat part. So a new file. Okay, let's go ahead and open this one up. So Loft number 3. Let's open it. Okay, so here we have another challenging multi-section loft. Let's go ahead and go to the tutorial. So we're going to go from this section to the second section and use these straight lines as our guides to create this surface. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's duplicate this. Okay, so once again, multi-section. And again, you want the lines to intersect the profiles, right? This line is intersecting this one. It's crossing at the endpoints, but that's okay as long as it crosses the lines. Same thing with this one, or else you might get a failure. All right, so let's go to multi-section section here, or window pane in the dialog box here. Okay, so let's go to this one as our first one. This one is our second one. Make sure the arrows are pointing in the same direction. We can get a preview just based off of that, right? Now let's go to the guide curves section. So the guide curves are down here. So let's pick our lines as our guide curves. It's going to guide it along. Preview. Okay, notice how it bowed it a little bit here on top. Okay, so let's see if we can get it to go all the way to the point. Let's see if we need to add anything else. I was expecting it to go all the way through, but unless we need another section. Let me see, hit OK. Let's just accept the results for now. Okay, and again, it's very similar to the covered wagon, right? We're using multiple profiles, or in some cases only two. And again, you can also, if you want, you can use one and one only. All right, so let's go back. So we're trying to duplicate this. I didn't get the full. So did I miss something here? Do I have to pick the point as a section? I don't know if we can pick a point as a section. End section option unchecked. Okay, so there's supposed to be a check option. Let's go back. So somehow I missed that. Let's go back, double click. So there's supposed to be an end section and I don't see it. Could it be here, the limits? Let me turn these off, see what happens. Preview. Oh, there it is. I had to turn off the relimited. So it was limited by the two sections, right? So actually I had to only turn off the end section, which is the second one. So it was limiting the surface to stop here because these were checked. So we turned off, go to relimitation. Okay, so let me sound smart. So you go to relimitation and that'll allow you to extend beyond the sections and end at the guides. All right, so there it is. Ta-da, got lucky on that one. I actually forgot about the relimiters. Okay, there it is. Okay, so let's go back to our tutorial. Okay, so I don't know, do we have this one? Okay, we did cover the coupling. Okay, I don't know if we have the, looks like we don't have the geometry for this one. Let me go back and check, make sure everything's in the show. Nope, it's not back here. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, using canonical element. I don't think I've ever used this, but there it is. Read it on your own. It's kind of hard to explain it when you don't have the geometry. All right, so coupling. We already covered coupling, but let's do it again. Let's do Loft cat part number 2. Loft 2 cat part, also known as multi-section. So let's go ahead and open up that file, and we're going to practice our coupling. Okay, so let's open. Okay, so we're going to connect our 3 sections, right? Or in this case, 2 sections. We're only connecting 2 of them. Okay, which is fine. Maybe we don't have to connect all 3. Okay, so it's just asking us to connect 2 of them. All right. Okay, let's connect these 2. Okay, so multi-section loft. And we're going to connect from this one to this one. Make sure the red arrows are pointing in the same direction or it will or it will twist on you. Preview, there it is. So it looks like everything is connecting fine, right? It looks like it's coupling okay. So this one is okay. We didn't have to do any coupling from vertex to vertex. Let me hide this one. Let's try the other one back here. Let me turn off one of the geosets. I forgot to insert my own geoset. Insert geoset. Okay, so let's couple from this one to this one. Maybe we can do all three. Multi-section from this one to this one. Make sure the red arrows are pointing in the same direction in preview. Okay, so this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vertices. This one has 4. So we need to make a decision what we want to do here. Okay, so if we want, we can couple this corner with this corner. So we have, once again, we have coupling. So if we go to coupling, say, hey, I want to couple this corner to, you have to go in order from first to second section, to this corner. Let's get a preview. Okay, there it is. That cleans that one up. We got this situation here. Okay, so now we can say, hey, we want to couple. Let's go back to coupling. Now we want to couple from, oh, we're going to add more. Let's add some more coupling. I forgot to click add. Let's go from this corner to that corner. Preview. There it is. Okay, starting to clean it up. Now this one doesn't have a mate here. So either we can just mate it to this one also. So this one is going to be used for couple number 2 and number 3. So let's go to a coupling and add more. You can always stretch your dialog box here. Okay, so let's add the coupling from this one. Now it doesn't have one, so we can always couple it to this one that's already coupled to number 2 and preview. Okay, so that's an option. Okay, so it depends on what you're trying to create. Okay, so that's coupling once again, and okay. Let's go on to the next one. Okay, so that was coupling. Allows you to control what vertex connects to which. Okay. Okay, so this one, coupling between guides. Whoa, coupling between guides. We can couple between guides. Okay, we can do a ratio. Let's see if we have this profile in this tutorial. Let me turn on the other one, the other geoset. Yep, we do have that geoset. A lot smaller, as you can see. Here we have this other geoset. Is that the one we're looking for? Looks like it. So let's do a multi-section loft between the two arcs. Now these are arcs, even though it looks polygonal in shape. So it doesn't eat up a lot of memory and slow down your computer. It doesn't draw a perfect arc or circle, or else it's going to eat up a lot of memory. If you're trying to create a perfect circle, it's going to take an infinite number of points to generate a circle, which eats up a lot of memory, and it'll just keep going on forever. So what it does, it just places a few points to represent a circle and then connects them with lines, and it looks polygonal, right? Many angled or many sided. Okay, so we're going to go from this arc to this one and preview. There it is. And there's coupling. In this case, do we need coupling? It says you can do coupling from guide curve to guide curve, but I don't see the reason why we should. Unless I misread the instructions or I just misunderstand them. Okay, let me just hit OK. There's that swept surface using multi-section lofting. Let's go on to the next one. Yeah, don't know what else to do with this one. Oh, so we can go with ratio with coupling. Okay, so we could have gone back here instead of going corner to corner on our coupling, corner to corner, we can use ratios if we like. Okay, so I'll let you play with that one. Okay, so this one looks like the area that we're currently zoomed in. Let's go back, which is this one. Let me hide. Okay, let me hide the arcs. I think we're done with the arcs. So let's connect this section to this one. Okay, so let me hide this one down here. Okay, so let's do a multi-section loft again. We'll go from this one to this one. Make sure the red hidden lines are pointing in the same direction. They currently are not. What happens when you preview? It's going to twist on you, right? So the red lines are not pointing in the same direction. Flip one of them. Preview. There it is. Okay, this one we do need coupling. Yeah, it's going all over the place. Okay, so we can go to coupling. You can do ratio, or we can just go corner to corner, right? Say I want to go from this corner to that corner, this corner to this corner, and it's gonna clean up the surface. Preview. Bam. Okay, it's a lot better, not perfect, but there you have it. Okay, and you can go by ratio, tangency, vertices. Let's see vertices. Preview. I didn't do much. Ratio. Preview. That seems to be the same. All right, so let's move on. Oh, these are guidelines. My mistake. I thought these were part of the surface or not. So it is clean, as you can see. Okay, so I'm assuming these are going to be guide curves. Okay, let's go on. I think we're going to start using some guide curves now. Okay, so we have manual coupling, which we did already. Manual coupling. We have tangency option. Trying to get to the guide curves here. Okay, so there's coupling. We did coupling. Bunch of coupling. Oh, it didn't use guide curves. Okay, let me go back. I'm actually surprised we didn't use guide curves on this one. Okay, so this one we're going to use the green guide curves. Okay, double click. Make sure the guide curves intersect the sections. So let's go to guide curves. So either they didn't use them or I missed it. So let's use this as a guide curve. Let's hit preview. Notice how it stretches it out. So guide curves will affect the width. It'll make it narrower in some areas, wider in others. So now let's use the green one down here. Our second guide. Okay, so we're going to use the second one. We're going to add another guide. Pick this green one. And preview. See how it stretches it out to follow that guide curve. And we also have the guide curves on top. Okay, so we have these black curves here on top. So let's also add those as guide curves. And preview. Oh, it didn't like this one. It didn't like it. Preview. No. Doesn't intersect the profile. Oh, okay. Thought it did. Let me remove this one. So it's saying that this curve doesn't intersect the section. Well, let me try the other one. See what happens. Let's add more. Unless I got to pick them in order. So I wonder if that's the problem. Preview. Okay, I'm going to guess it's the order I'm picking them in. Let me clear the guide curves. I'm going to remove these guide curves. I wonder if it's the order that's messing things up. So let me start with guide curves again, and let me pick a different order. I'll start from this one, guide curve, then go to this one, preview. Oh, it still doesn't like it. Okay, I'm gonna give up on it. Maybe it's because I'm missing a spine. But I'm gonna stop here or else I might be going in circles. So I'll remove this one, clear. If I figure it out, I'll come back on a second video. Or remove, and I'll just stick to the green ones. The green ones seem to work fine. But let me see if I can add tangency to these using the coupling. So double click on the surface. Let's go back to coupling. So let me go to the first coupling and see if I can use this as a support. I was hoping I can use this line as a support, but it doesn't allow me to. So tangency, curve, tangency 2. Yeah, it doesn't allow me to pick the line. Or I'm probably doing something wrong. So I'm just going to give up on this one. Just hit OK and accept the results. If I figure it out, I'll show it in a separate video. Okay, so that's the end of multi-section loft. Again, very similar to swept surfaces and the covered wagon, right? Okay, so go ahead and save your work. Okay, so file, save as, and hit complete it or complete. Label it so you don't mix it up with the original one. Okay, so that's loft number 2, complete. Loft number 3, complete. So I'm just checking that I didn't miss any. I think I missed one of the lofts. Looks like I probably missed the third one. Number 3, complete. Close it. Number 1, complete. File, save as. So it looks like there's one more I missed. So we'll go back to it before we end this video. Yeah, because there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Looks like we're missing number 4. So let's go back to the tutorial, see if there's a file loft number 4. There's loft number 1. Go slow. Loft number 3. Loft number 2. Is that the one I missed? Loft number 2. Let me go ahead and open it from my files. Maybe we did open it and I just forgot about it. So we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh, loft number 4 is circular, which I didn't see in the tutorial, but might as well cover it. Okay, let me change the background. Okay, so there is a number 4, but I didn't see it in the tutorial. Maybe it's a separate link. Okay, so let me change the background. Let's go to Tools Options. I'm going to darken the background back to a dark blue. Okay, so we can do a loft between circles too, right? So this is pretty straightforward. It's easy. This should have been in a geoset. Let me go ahead and insert a geoset. Okay, and let's do a loft between the 2 circles, 3 circles. 1, 2. Make sure they're in the section window pane area of this dialog box. And 3. They have to be chosen in order. And OK, and there's the loft for a circular tube that changes in diameter. Ta-da! Okay, that's all we can do with this one. Impressive, right? All right, so let's go ahead and save this. File, save as. So this is in the zipped folder that I sent you, but it doesn't seem to be in the tutorial. The link for this tutorial for multi-section loft. Save, okay? Okay, that's the end of this video. See you on the next one.